President Trump wants the nation to address mental health issues.
But he made no mention of gun control in that major speech today. KCAL9 political reporter Dave Bryan joins us now with more on the president's response to that deadly school shooting that happened in Florida.
We've seen this so many times before, right? You know, first the massacre and then the wave for gun control. But like a wave, it sort of hits the beach and that's the end of it. As he has done in the 3 previous major shootings during his 13-month-old administration, President Trump focused on issues like mental health, school security, and community reporting suspicious behavior, but never even used the G word, gun, while expressing his sorrow for the grieving families.
My fellow Americans, today I speak to a nation in grief.
It's a ritual that's become all too familiar in America. A mass shooting takes the lives of innocent school children, so the flags are lowered to half-staff at the White House and the Capitol.
Mr. Speaker, can you tell us when the House may muster the courage to take up the issue of gun violence?
But despite cheers from Democrats, there were no signs Thursday that Washington is any closer to addressing gun violence in the wake of the deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook in 2012. But the numbers don't lie. According to data from the nonprofit Gun Violence Archive published in the New York Times, there have been at least 239 school or college shootings nationwide in the 6 years since Sandy Hook. 438 people were shot, and 138 of them were killed. 16 of the 239 shootings are classified as mass shootings, in which at least 4 people were shot. Only cases where people were injured or killed by gunfire are included in the survey, and researchers say a significant portion of the guns used in the school shootings came from the shooters' homes. Nonetheless, President Trump never mentioned the word gun in his remarks from the White House, instead focusing on mental health.
We are committed to working with state and local leaders to help secure our schools and tackle the difficult issue of mental health.
But just a year ago, a month after taking office, one of the first bills President Trump signed into law, CBS News reports, made it easier for people with mental illness to get guns. And the administration has refused to release photographs of that bill signing to this day. It's not entirely clear what he has in mind, but on Thursday, the president declared it's time for action, but apparently not action that costs anything. Politico reported that on Monday, the Trump administration proposed cutting $25 million in federal education programs designed to help prevent crime in schools and to assist schools in recovering after tragedies like this. In fact, Politico reports that altogether, the new Trump budget request would totally eliminate a $400 million grant for school programs to prevent bullying and provide mental health assistance. It's the 4th major shooting President Trump has addressed since taking office, and each time he said it's not time to talk about guns. Most recently after the Las Vegas Strip massacre.
We'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by.
And after the deadly rampage inside a Texas church.
This isn't a guns situation. I mean, we could go into it, but it's a little bit soon to go into it.
But why is President Trump so protective of the gun industry? Well, his presidential campaign was generously supported by the National Rifle Association, which the New York Times reports provided at least $30 million for the Trump campaign. And his very close relationship with the NRA included a presidential address last April in which he pledged his unwavering support for them in return.
You came through for me, and I am going to come through for you.
Trump got the rock star treatment from the NRA, and he warmly expressed his gratitude.
And I want to thank each and every one of you, not only for your help electing true friends of the Second Amendment, but for everything you do to defend our flag and our freedom.
And while the president is leading his party along the NRA path, many other members of the party indicated they're in no hurry to tackle gun control either, like Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who the LA Times reports received more than $3 million in campaign contributions from the NRA during his political career. And in a Senate speech Thursday, he said there's no law that could have prevented the school attack.
It isn't fair or right to create this impression that somehow this attack happened yesterday because there's some law out there that we could have passed to prevent it. For if there was such a law that could have prevented it yesterday, I think a lot of people would have supported it.
And in an interview with CNN's Wolf Blitzer, Florida Governor Rick Scott refused to say whether he would specifically focus on gun control issues.
Everything's on the table. All right, I'm going to look at every way that we can make sure our kids are safe.
Even if the National Rifle Association goes after you?
I'm going to talk about every issue to keep these kids safe.
Including gun control?
It's looking at, who should have guns? Should individuals with mental illness have guns? What can we do to create more safety in our schools?
But for the mother of a 14-year-old girl who was gunned down in her classroom, there are no excuses, no stalling strategies that ring true.
I just spent the last 2 hours putting the burial arrangements for my daughter's funeral, who's 14. President Trump, you say, what can you do? You can stop the guns from getting into these children's hands. Put metal detectors at every entrance to the schools. What can you do? You can do a lot. This is not fair to our families, that our children go to school and have to get killed.
Well, in past massacres like this, the strategy for those who oppose gun control has simply been to wait for the anger and energy to fade away, and every time that's exactly what has happened. Supporters of gun control measures have been unable to sustain the shock and sorrow and translate that into a viable political movement that can produce results. Jeff, back to you.